Propulsion's bootcamp adds value in a number of ways as you're thinking about moving into your career in data science. There are a number of things that you need to think about. One is your skill development. Two is your preparedness for industry. And three is how you connect with industry and get yourself out there for roles. So Propulsion addresses each of these in a really nice way. First of all, there's a lot of thought given to the specific skills that you need to learn. A lot of boot camps out there focus on generic level skills. They sort of try to cover a lot of things rather than go deep. Propulsion takes the approach of going in depth and really having rigorous exposure to these different ideas. That's something that ends up being very, very important for industry. It pays dividends as you start to go into data science. You don't just learn about the algorithms, you learn about why they work, you learn about the mathematics behind them, and that proves really fundamental. The second component is getting yourself ready for industry, right? This is not getting you ready to take more classes, it's getting you ready for a job. And something that Propulsion takes very seriously is getting you to think like you're on the job. It's not just about learning the content. It's not just about learning the techniques. It's about thinking about how they apply in a real industry setting. And through the combination of exposure to real companies and real projects, and through exposure to real problems in the curriculum, it gets you ready for actual industry work in a way that many boot camps just are unable to do. The third component is actually connecting you with industry. This is something that many boot camps and programs, universities struggle with, is connecting with actual companies and partners. And I think this is where Propulsion shines in a way that others do not, is the deep partnerships that Propulsion has developed, maintained, and actually grown over time. The way that students are connected for working with companies at the end of the program for projects is pretty much second to none. And that's something that, as someone going into data science, is the single hardest thing for you to do, is to find a way to actually work within a business. So for these three things, this makes Propulsion stand out. And I've seen a lot of boot camps, a lot of programs, a lot of opportunities, and this is a unique opportunity for you to address all three things at once. The decision to associate yourself with any program is a pretty big one, because in a lot of ways, your values and expectations for what data science means have to align. So for me, the biggest reason for associating with Propulsion is quality. There's a lot of opportunity to take programs, classes, learn from other people across the industry and across the world. But when you think about the number of opportunities that really build up and focus on quality of the experience for the person, there's not that many. There's a lot of universities, there's a lot of programs that are more focused on exactly how much revenue can I derive from an individual person. They don't focus on or try to create quality in the same way that Propulsion does. So I'm a very big believer that quality of experience matters, and that quality of experience directly results in success for people who go through a program. That's the second component for me, quality being the first. The second is that quality results in actually landing jobs in industry, and Propulsion has clear evidence and a track record of placing students into impactful roles and impactful jobs. That's something that matters a lot to me. There's a lot of promises made across the industry about exactly how a program can get you ready to get into a role. Very few have the same level of evidence that Propulsion does, and it's a big part of why I spend a lot of time with Propulsion. I believe in it, and that's part of why I want to continue to align myself with it. My exposure to data science and programming and this type of work really started in 2008 and 2009. Back then, using R was definitely not very friendly, not nearly the way in which it is now. Same thing with Python. But the interest in data has always been there. It's just a question of formalizing it as an actual role. So I was doing data science and teaching about it without calling it that for a number of years, as I think you'll hear people speak about pretty often. Around 2013, 2014 is when I started shifting more to thinking about my path in industry. And for me, that involved trying to think about what does it mean to solve practical problems and not necessarily try to publish about them on a regular basis. When you're publishing, you're looking for perfection. You're looking for a paper that clears multiple reviewers' standards, responds to their feedback, and it ends up being something that's published in a journal. When you're in industry, perfection is kind of the enemy. You don't necessarily want to go for perfect. You want to produce something that does the job. But honestly, if you go for perfection, it's not going to move. You're just not going to move fast enough. And that's something that I find really compelling. And it's why I moved into tech. It's why I moved into this space. Around the time that I started at LinkedIn and I was actively writing on LinkedIn, I connected with Laurent, who leads Propulsion. And we focused a lot on what are you doing? What are you building? How can I potentially be a part of it? And at the time, I was searching for a way to continue to teach and continue to work and continue to help people develop their skill set while also being active in the industry. And so this was an awesome opportunity to join Propulsion, to teach actively while also still getting to do my day job in industry. So over the last few years, that shift for me has gone from being an individual contributor, working much more day-to-day in data science, to now being much more in a leadership role and not coding as much day-to-day, but instead thinking about what does it mean to build a data science organization? What does it mean to develop talent, to support people in their own skill development? But that desire to teach has continued to be there, which is a really exciting thing. And I think we generally need more of that. It's not easy to teach. It's not easy to teach well. And the more attention that we give to it, the more we try to do it better, we benefit so much as an industry. So I've really, over the last number of years, I've moved from focusing explicitly on data science, building models, to now thinking about building teams and people and organizations. And I think all of these are different facets and important points to be building effective data science organizations. So a lot of people who join data science organizations may not always be data scientists coding day to day, but they're going to have an impact. But generally speaking, you have to start somewhere, and being a data scientist going through this type of program is an incredibly valuable way to do that. And typically what makes you excel in data science is you use your problem solving ability, you use your knowledge of a particular industry or domain to actually become a more effective data scientist. So I think there's an intention or some rumor that goes around, okay, you suddenly have to drop everything you knew to get into data science. You have a PhD, but that doesn't matter. Well, it does matter. You are an expert in a particular area. You know how to do research. You know how to be thorough. You know how to write. All of these things are extremely important. So when you think about building a career in data science, only a small component of it depends on your ability to code day to day. A lot of it also depends on your ability to problem solve, your ability to communicate, your ability to be persistent even when things are frustrating. And that's the hallmark of a PhD, right? It's the hallmark of anyone with an advanced degree in general, is that you're able to work through complexity and you're able to work through things that are challenging and come up with a solution. And that's data science more so than any other single thing. So there's a focus on the technical, statistics, SQL, coding, etc., which certainly matter. Like, these are skills, and some of the larger things that make you successful and allow you to build your career are, like, you really have to care about the area that you're working in. You really have to be motivated by the work, by the people around you. It's fascinating when you think about what allows people to grow in their career. It's typically that you find something you're passionate about. You find something that's super interesting to you, and you like working on solving problems in this space. Very few people in data science end up loving it because they love to code. Like, it's more about the problems they're trying to work on and the people that they work with and the impact that they have. And so if you think about having been in a different career, or having a PhD, or having an advanced degree, like, use that, because it's going to be very beneficial for you as you think about going into the data science world. I know it can be a little bit challenging to think, well, I worked so hard for this degree, or I have 10 years of experience in this other domain. That's cool. That's good. Like, experience matters. You just have to think about how to translate that into your career growth in data science. So Propulsion helps you, learn about the skills, right? Learn about stats, learn about coding, learn about the ways in which these things matter. But, like, the mindset and how you solve problems and things like that are bigger than just a boot camp or a program, and those things end up making a huge difference as well. So as you think about, like, building your career, it's the big things that are going to matter a lot more than the smaller things, and I think that's incredibly important to keep in mind.